So, recent news in the World of Warcraft realm is that pretty soon they're going to implement a one-button rotation option for the game. And I wanted to talk about it. So let's talk about it. Why not? I still kind of keep up with WoW a little bit, even though I'm not playing it. My knee-jerk reaction to a one-button rotation is it must be bad, right? But let's challenge that, okay? Let's try and think about this through a few different perspectives. So, first off, my understanding of this function is the purpose of it is for accessibility. It's for people that want to experience, exploring the world, maybe exploring the story. People who are not interested in optimization, because this button is going to be with a penalty. Basically, I think you're going to be casting your spells and abilities like 0.2% slower or something. So basically, like, you're going to be doing bad damage, supposedly. And my knee-jerk reaction first is, what's the point? If the point is for people to experience the game where DPS doesn't matter, they're already doing that, right? Like they're pressing some buttons, maybe randomly, but they're already experiencing the game where DPS doesn't matter. So my knee-jerk reaction to this is, what's the point of making a one-button rotation for purposes where DPS doesn't matter if DPS doesn't matter, right? And another thing is, apparently there is an add-on that already does this. I don't know what it's called. But apparently there's an add-on that already does your rotation for you in one button. And I would assume it probably doesn't have that penalty. So if it already exists, and they're putting it into the game, if they're putting it into the game, I would assume that the add-on is probably widespread, which is kind of concerning when you think about that too. If they're adding that functionality into the base game, it is safe to say that a lot of people are using the add-on, which I think says a lot about the base gameplay. If a lot of people don't want to learn how to play the game, I think that's a problem. Like there's probably a more basic problem with how the game plays if a large portion of your player base doesn't want to interact with it. But let's not tackle that for now. Let's talk about, I guess, what should be fun about playing your game. So right now I'm playing Viper in Final Fantasy XIV, and if you're familiar with that, Viper's one of, I would say, the easiest jobs in the game. I say that because a lot of it kind of has a built-in rotation helper, which they're going to implement that in WoW too, which that I'm fine with. I'm fine with a rotation helper, because that can be used educationally, right? But like with Viper, a large portion of Viper gameplay is pressing whatever button is lighting up, right? That's not to say that there isn't decision making in Viper. There absolutely is. You need to still have uptime. You need to worry about positionals. You need to worry about when is the best time to use all of your resources, because it's actually very easy to overcap on Viper. And also, largely, Final Fantasy XIV is less a game about optimizing your rotation as it is doing the boss fight. You know, it's about doing the dance. It's about learning the puzzles and figuring out the puzzles. There's plenty of players who can do the rotation fine enough to do ultimates, right? But they still haven't cleared ultimates because the hard part about the ultimates is largely the puzzle. So, you know, it's kind of a different game in that regard, but it's fun doing your rotation, or it should be fun. This past week I cleared M7S, which had a surprisingly tight DPS check, considering we're a few weeks into the tier now. And I had a lot of fun pressing my buttons in the right order. Even though it's a Viper is an easy job to play, it was really fun figuring out, you know, like, can I squeeze in another GCD here? You know, what can I squeeze in another Reawakening here before the boss, you know, phases? Can I time my burst window perfectly into the 2-minute window? All of that was really, really fun to do. It was fun to press my buttons correctly. And I feel like by implementing a 1-button rotation in an MMO like WoW, where combat is the focus, I feel like that's potentially robbing people of that fun. I think long term that can only hurt the game, honestly, because if you take away the fun of pressing your buttons correctly, then I think you're going to run out of the other things rather quickly, especially in WoW, where a lot of the game is just repeatable, right? Like Mythic Plus is repeatable. I guess if you're doing bad DPS, you're probably not getting very far in Mythic Plus, right? But it goes back to my earlier point. Like, if you're just playing the game in places where bad DPS is fine, you don't need a 1-button rotation. You can just press your buttons in whatever order. If you need bad DPS, people already have that in abundance, right? So I don't see the point. And I think there's a whole conversation of like, how far is this gonna go? You know, right now, the initial launch of this functionality is going to be with basically a DPS penalty. Is that gonna stay? Are the devs going to be are the devs going to stick to their guns and be like, well, we're going to keep this penalty up, and then players might want to do, you know, higher keys, so instead of using the in-game with version with a penalty, are they just going to use the add-on that probably doesn't have a penalty? I feel like this only takes away from the game. I feel like instead of I think they should spend their time trying to make their buttons fun to learn and play rather than take away the buttons, is really what I think I want to say. Make the game fun to play so people want to play it. Because if you need a 1-button rotation, ultimately that means people don't want to press your buttons. Tell me what you think. I'm interested to know.